Just to reiterate that when we're writing a policy submission to a parliamentary inquiry, it's great to try and understand the reasons why something is as it is, and if possible, or if appropriate, propose an alternative.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to pose this question, and I'll divert to the audience, give you some time to think about it. Mathematician Richard Hammond, he often asks people at his company, what is the most important problem in your field, and why aren't you working on it? So I'll ask a variation of that. What is the most effective way to achieve policy change? And if it's not the thing that you're doing, why not? While you think about that answer, I'd like to point out the link at the bottom of the screen to the audience. That is how we'll be taking questions, or we'll be attempting to take questions. If you go to that link on your phone, pollev.com/AUSTENERICKS443. You should be able to enter questions and vote on questions that have been entered. And then when we get to the Q&A phase, I'll be reading off the top voted questions that I think are interesting, and we'll go from there. So please have a look at that. If it doesn't work and I only see one question or no questions, we'll go to the old hand method. So now that I posed that question and rambled for a little bit, should we go down the line?
Sure, I can answer that the moment you said it, actually. I know exactly why. Basically, I'm too young. I mean, at the very juvenile age of 32, I don't honestly feel that I can have a meaningful impact on policy and in the political system at this point. The second thing being personal fit, that I am not a particularly gregarious and extroverted person. Like, I do okay in that regard, but compared to a lot of the people who are highly engaged in policy formation and in more directly party politics and that side of the world, that's just not my bent, it's not my inclination. As a 50-year-old, I can see that not being so much of a problem, coming from a point of great personal experience and a strong desire to achieve things in very particular areas. But I think until I've hit that point, I'm much better off as part of the machinery of government, trying to agitate for the right outcomes at the granular level and get a really deep understanding of how the system I work within operates.
Well, I'm 31 years old, and a question I get asked a lot is, why don't you join a major party and make some change from the inside? And the reason I don't do that is just because I couldn't stand it. I've had good talks with major party politicians who have said they're part of an internal group in their party and they're trying to do that, make that change, bring it up in the party room or whatever other forums they have. But I just can't do that. Well, I've already got this option of joining a party that's small but established and already has a lot more of the ideals that I align with. So that's why I will never really thought to join a major party.
That whole thing of, I guess, being too young or seen as being too young or not established enough, that affects me as well. I did a debate recently with former Senator Malcolm Roberts from One Nation on immigration at a conference recently. It was a really fun debate, and then the media ran the following headline the next day. Senator Malcolm Roberts calls for immigration to be halved. And in the entire article, I was not mentioned even once, even though it was a debate. My name, I think Fairfax named me once. Bloody SBS, meant to be the voice of minorities, didn't even put my bloody name in there. So it just became this circle jerk of, oh, here's a former controversial politician. Look at what he's saying. Ooh, got immigration. So that limits my ability to actually influence the conversation. Only the 30 people in the room got to hear my side of the case, which is a bit unfortunate. The other thing is, well, look, we have limited resources. The best way to change people's minds and to get an idea out there is to get in their face and talk to them about it. Often, when you take a stake in their own world and argue to them how it appeals to them, how it applies to them, they change their mind, and it's often quite easy to get them to phone up their local representative and put pressure, saying, hey, this is an issue I care about, please do something about it. And which is why our bus tour was so successful for legalized vaping. I'd love to do 100 bus tours. I mean, it might might piss people off, but we don't have the resources for that, so we have to deal with what we're given.
All right. Thanks very much. So we'll move on now to your individual methods and what you do. And so just in terms of your goal being political change, assuming that's your goal, put yourself in that mindset. And what metrics would you use to measure your success? How would you actually say, yes, I have succeeded in changing policy, or no, I have not? individually? And then I think we'll start with Satya because I think I know what you're going to say.
Sure. Well, the most easy way is if we actually get the change to happen, you can say, well, we did this and this, and here's the lead up, here's a chronology, and it got passed. We convinced this politician, he voted yes, that's it. Otherwise, there's opinion polls, and you can get an opinion poll commissioned by an independent agency. That often also gives you an idea of how you manage to influence people's perception. If you write an article, look at the number of hits and comments it's got, the kind of engagement it's receiving. And also just, if you get the chance to meet with the politicians, which, firstly, for many of them to even give you a meeting means they've taken notice of you and what you're saying. We're a small group, so for them to do that means they actually have looked into us, have spent a bit of time reading our stuff, and have said, okay, this is worth us meeting with this person. So all of those are different, I guess, metrics for success.
So the easiest metric for us is how many votes that we're getting from election to election. Another way that we can look at how we're affecting change is if we see, like I say, some of those ideas getting into the Overton window. It's hard because there's a long lead time on politics. So if you look at the trajectory of the Greens, who are the next biggest player after the major parties, it takes decades, probably about, you can expect, 20 years. Maybe things move faster now in the age of social media, but we are in it for the long haul. And the thing that makes it hard to measure is there's not just long timescales from election to election, but there's latency in the time that we get our support and the time that we spend building our internal structures and building our policy platform to the time that we get to take that to the next election. So yeah, long lead time. So, but we just are plugging away because we want to get that data and see. So we have to know.
I guess I am not a utilitarian. I don't tend to count things up in my day-to-day life very much. So my simple metric, it just runs on the board in a very abstract sense, that every time you get a chance to have a hand in a decision or a piece of influence, and you know that through whatever manipulations or representations you made, you've changed it for the better, you just sort of chalk up those little, okay, that was a good one, that was a good one, that was a bad one, and there was not a lot I could do, but here's how I could have done it better, and just learning from experience. Really, for me, it's where you've learned how the system goes wrong and what you can potentially do about it next time. That's probably my simple answer to.
Yeah, it's a good answer. And thinking now about these metrics of success, what do each of you think individually is your biggest success that you've had, either as an individual or as an organization? So individual within an organization, organizational. And we'll throw it right back to James because I like to keep it on.
Talk about mine in incredibly abstract terms, because it was an area where there was a lot of media risk. It was something that was in no way a politically valuable football. It's something that the Herald Sun would write a big spread about, and they would have to enact very rushed, very terrible policy to get the wrong outcome, if that were the thing that was to happen. It was very significant to the people involved as an industrial issue. It affected, people's day-to-day lives, their livelihood, their well-being. And it was very fraught. It was a truly wicked problem. It affected a lot of different